Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners for Tuesday, May 14, 2019. Tonight's meeting was called to order at 7 and immediately moved into executive session, and we're now going to resume the public session. I'll give that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. So the first item on the agenda we're actually going to move to tonight is going to be the approval of the minutes. So the board has received and reviewed the minutes prepared by our secretary, and we'll move to approve them now. They're both, it's an approval for both the April 11, 2019 regular meeting minutes that were approved by all the commissioners, that were attended by all the commissioners, and the April 24, 2019 special meeting minutes. I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Correction.
Okay.
The April minutes just say they were video photographer, don't say by who.
Okay. So we'll add that name, and Lisa, you have that, right?
Okay.
We'll add that in, so we'll make that approval. The videographer's name will be added. I got a second from Commissioner Laurie. And all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion carries. That'll move us to our treasurer's report. Jamie, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So tonight we're looking at the financials through April 30th of 2019. They currently present a net budget surplus of approximately $187,000. As typical, this is primarily due to timing issues. Our certs for the year have not come in that high yet. It has to do with some of the timing of our hospital bills and our payroll. So for the most part, we're trending as expected. However, as I mentioned at last month's meeting, there are certain accounts where we know that we either are already over budget or we are trending that way. This has to do a lot with the fact that when we prepared the budget for 2019, we wanted to be conscious of, not raising taxes where we thought we could dip into some of the surplus funds that we had available to us. And a lot of this specifically has to do with the 3 new rigs that we purchased. The chief had provided us with information on what kind of tools and equipment would be needed, and we decided to not specifically budget for those items. So for tonight's meeting, I have one budget transfer, which is a line item to line item transfer, and then 5 other budget modifications. So this is a little bit different. This is where, we're just showing that we're appropriating fund balance, as planned during the budget. So the items that we have, the budget transfer I'm recommending is from 3410.11 fire chief salary to 3412.1 retroactive salary in the amount of $55,000. This was an anticipated expense. We knew we had an open contract with the chief. However, to accurately show it in the budget, it should be showed as retroactive salary. And then the recommended budget modifications. So these are, again, where we're appropriating fund balance that we have available to us. Stu, you want me to read them, or?
Sure, that's
Okay.
fine, yeah.
So it's 3412.1 retroactive salary in the amount of $19,033.55. We probably don't need the second one now with what we just talked about, so I won't do the insurance. The next one is 3030.2 hoses and nozzles in the amount of $18,150. The next one is 3105.4 uniforms in the amount of $8,000, and then 3115.4 emergency equipment in the amount of $25,000. So these amounts are anticipated then to get us through the remainder of the year. However, if anything changes out, we'll advise the board accordingly. So that would give us a total recommended budget modification, an increase of our appropriated fund balance of $70,183.55. So in total, between the budget transfer and the budget modifications, we're looking at $125,183.55.
Okay. Great. So I will make a motion to accept those transfers and modifications, and would look for a second.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No? Okay, good. Thank you.
Then just a few updates. So our audit, as you know, was conducted in March by our audit firm, BST & Co. I have received the draft audit reports, and I'm currently in the process of reviewing, so they should be finalized by the next meeting. We did receive on May 10th, so this past Friday, we did receive our share of taxes from the town. We received the full amount of $17,241,456.33. The next thing is Treasury Direct, which we've been talking about. So as of just about a week ago, our account was finalized, set up, so they verified all the paperwork that we sent in. So we are able to start investing. The security is set up on the account. So now it's just a matter of, I don't know if there's a different opinion. We said we were going to start with $100,000. That was prior to receiving our tax funds. So I don't know if you feel differently. From what I can see, and I am going to spend some more time on the website, I don't necessarily see any minimums that seem to be of concern. I thought something said $100, but I also did not find anything on maximums.
Yeah, I think I'm familiar with Treasury bill trading. I thought I remember non-competitive was $5 million. You know, when you go to a brokerage account and you try to buy Treasury bills, they tell you can't buy more than $5 million under the disclaimer. But Treasury Direct might not have that. If Treasury Direct doesn't have that, I would buy a series of 1 month bills. That's what I would do. I would just buy a series of 1 month bills, and they auction them every week, right? So
Yeah.
I would go in and buy, and the board can approve, I'd buy $5 million like the next auction, $5 million the following auction, and then maybe $3 million the following auction, to where you get yourself like $14 million invested. And then you can do a pro forma to see when we need the money, right? And so if we did a pro forma out 90 days or 120 days, we could see when we need the money. The Treasury bills just roll off and end up back into our account, and I can come by and show you how to execute on the website, how to execute that trade. It's not difficult. You just go in and put down your amount to the number of rolls you want to put in, and you hit send, and then they'll send you an email confirming what you just did. So, yeah, I can come by and show you how to do that. The board can pick the amount. I don't think $5 million is out of the question at all, and I don't think $5 million the following week is out of the question at all. I don't think you want them all showing up the same week, so you just stagger them like that.
All right. Good. I would also like to be involved in seeing how that's done. That's very interesting. I'm sure anybody else who'd be
Yes.
interested in coming in for a lesson would be
pretty-
would be happy to join you guys in seeing how that works. That would be great. All right. So I guess our anticipation is to have this second meeting in May.
Okay.
So perhaps between now and the last week of May, we can figure out how to approve the number, the amounts that we want to do.
No, I think
and
we
then
want to buy them this week.
You would buy 'em this-
She's got $17 million sitting in the box earning no interest. So,
Okay. So does anybody
you get-
have an opinion about how much to start with?
I think we should put a majority of the money into treasuries, earning it, and just make sure it's coming back, like you said, it's coming due as we need it. So we always have enough money to pay our bills.
right. But you don't want to do it, it's better to stagger it out the first month, so where you have bills maturing every week, right? And you don't, there's no work to do every week. It's just, the way the account's set up, it just says, tell me how many times you want to roll this, and you can put in 12 times, 6 times, 3 times, whatever you want, and then you can change it. So if you put in 8 times to roll it, and tomorrow you decide, well, I don't want to roll them anymore, you can make it 0. So there's no penalty or cost for doing that. So yeah, I would just start investing. We should say we should have 80% of the money, or pick a percentage that we want to have invested, and move on. You know, by the time, because it's, we should earn, if we have an average balance of $10 million a year, which we probably over the course of a year, we have an average of $10 million, that's about $225,000 in interest. So every month that goes by, we're losing 18 grand if we don't invest, something like that.
So, I mean, would you be,
There is, and I don't know, and I can get the exact numbers, but just all of our money right now is with JP Morgan Chase, so we have an earnings credit where we don't pay for any services with JP Morgan. So I think they said we have to maintain about $6 million in JP Morgan to cover our expenses.
Yeah, but how much are the expenses going to be if they've charged us full boat
Right.
retail rates?
Yeah.
$6 million at 2% is, what is that, $12,000? Are they going to charge us $1,000 a month in fees?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't
You
think,
know what the fees are?
No, I'm going to I'll pull that together. I'll pull up because we get every month, they just give us a statement that shows what our earnings credit is and what they applied against it. So, but it's like every fee you can think of, from the fact that we have positive pay on one account to the ability to have ACHs. There's a
Right.
fee for everything. It's just that historically it hasn't mattered because we've always had more than enough credit to cover it.
So if we set a ceiling, let's say initially at about 70%, that's almost $12 million, then you still have 5 left over from the most recent deposit, plus what we already have in reserves right now that's sitting in that same account, would probably keep us
Yeah.
safe from
Yeah.
fees, but also put a nominal amount into these investments without, so we could actually do both.
Yeah.
Keep the
Yes, you
fees
could.
at zero.
Right, you could,
And
right,
What
at
do you
this
think about
moment,
that, doing a
right.
ceiling of 12 million for the first
Yeah,
time
we could-
around?
yeah.
And then divide it up, obviously, into 5 million or less per investment, or whatever the case may be.
right, that sounds fine. Well,
Yeah.
let's
So
plan to
just do
have-
that, a ceiling at 12 million?
Yeah, let's plan to have something like $12 million in treasury bills by June.
Right.
And we'll execute that. We can do it in $4 million a bite, for $3 million a bite for 4 auctions. And that way, every week, you're always having $3 million roll over, then you're at 12 million.
Well, there's $23 million in the bank right now, I'm assuming.
Yes, as of,
Right.
yes.
So-
20,
so-
yeah, about 20.
But we
Yeah.
want to make sure that there's enough money sitting in the
We could
bank so
spend
that
more.
we don't incur any fees for the
So we could
amount.
actually do 15 million probably,
Yeah.
because they're due every month, right? They come back every month?
Yeah.
Do you have a separate account for the Federal Reserve account for the reserve account? No, right?
No, so we do not have you mean at Chase, like where the money's going to go in and out?
Yeah,
We do not.
okay.
I-
It's a sub-account,
Yeah.
okay.
I could set that up if that's something, if you feel like we should have a dedicated account at Chase where the money's going to go in and out.
You probably want to do, well,
that's
you've
a
already
good
set it up with the,
idea.
you've already set up with the Federal Reserve Bank where it's being pulled from.
Yes, but we haven't done anything yet, so there's nothing to say I can't change the linked account.
Well, their accounting is pretty clear. They give, at the end of the year, they give you a
Yeah.
pretty nice accounting run.
Yeah, I mean, it will, obviously, there'll be another account that we will be
Right.
reconciling, so.
You could put an additional account, pull the money out that you're not submitting and putting it into another spot, and just keep using that, but either way, right, it's the same way.
Okay.
So are we interested in raising that 12 million to 15? Do you think that 15 is gonna, we're gonna be fine with not paying those additional fees? I know it's probably not a large expense, but
Yeah.
why incur fees when we don't have to?
Yeah, well, you're right. I mean, right now, we're at, again, at this moment, which is when we'll have the most that we have. We have just about 19 million in that account, and then our reserve is 1.8, so
But we
20.
can't look at the reserve because we can't touch it. So we have
Right.
19 million,
So if you need to
12
have
million's the
6,
right
if
number
you
for
have to
now.
have 6
Yeah,
in
you
there, it
do.
would make sure to just do the 12 for now, and then maybe we can increase that ceiling as time goes on, as more money starts coming in from,
if we do 12 for now, by the time a month rolls on, we'll have a better handle on how Chase is going to bill us
I
on
agree.
fees. And then we can increase, you can increase very quickly how
Yeah.
fast you spend
All
money.
right, so let's
That's
do
not a
that.
problem.
I'm a little confused because you just said we had 19 million in the account? So we've been,
Yeah.
shouldn't we had a balance of 6 million before you deposited the 17 million?
No, because we had to operate for the last, we operated about a million
Right,
point
right.
we
two
used
a
our
month.
reserve to cover the time between January and now.
Right, that's how we don't end up
Right,
having a
without a
tan,
tan, right.
is because we,
All right, so I would make a motion to set a ceiling for Treasury Direct at 12 million for initially, and then we'll revisit it in 4 months from now and see what we do. So would I have a second on that?
Second.
All right, Mr. Winter, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, great, so we'll do that. We'll see how it goes.
do you want me to speak about workers' comp, or are we gonna
Um,
talk about that now?
I mean, we can just obviously advise the
Okay.
public that our
Sure.
policy is going to be up and that we're working on it.
Yeah, so our workers' compensation policy renews every year, July 1st. So we have received this year, our broker went out, we received 2 bids, one from our current carrier, which is PERMA, and one from the New York State Insurance Fund, Safety Group 497. So both have provided their offer for coverage for the next year, which would be 7/1/19 through 6/30 of '20. The amounts we're looking at, PERMA came in around $330,000, goes down to about $325,000 if we prepay, which we have done with them historically. The New York State Insurance Fund comes in a little bit higher at around $360,000. However, they do have the potential, but not the guarantee of a dividend, which they estimate could be approximately $80,000. That would get paid out 8 to 9 months after the plan year ends. So those are the 2 proposals that are in front of the board. Again, it's effective for July 1st, so the latest we would need to make a decision would be at the June meeting, and at that time, you would also have to then, if you were to go with PERMA, you would have to authorize me to also make the payment. This way, we could take advantage of the 2% discount.
Right, so the 2% discount would be $325,054 for the term of the one-year policy. And the board has made the decision to table the matter until our second meeting in May, at which time, after getting some additional information, we'll make a decision on whether or not we're going to move forward with PERMA or the competing quote. So we'll do that definitely in May. All right, we'll certainly do it before our June 12th meeting.
Okay, great.
Okay, great.
And then the last thing I had was just, we have our renewal also coming up for the Google Drive, which is what our email and everything. We did add the Vault that I think we talked about a few months ago at the meeting, which is a tool that allows us to, store all of the information, gives us unlimited space. So there is the quote in front of the board. We currently have 20 users. We have 20 email addresses in use. The charge is like per year by, it's per person per year. It's about like $140, I think, per user. So they gave us a quote for 20 users. They gave us a quote for 30 users if there's a reason we think we might need more. So it's really just up to, so what I would have to do next is just agree to one of the quotes, and then they'll issue us an invoice for payment next month. So I would just need to know from the board, user-wise, what you want to go with right now, with the understanding that you're always able to add on users if you feel that that is something that you might need. And you also always have the option if you added users and you didn't think they needed the Vault. So you have plenty of options. It's sort of a la carte. So it's not a hard thing to get them to add users. So just whatever you think there, then I can go back to Onyx and let them know.
Yeah, so we have the agreement in front of us. Some of us have got a chance to look at it. I think we've all perused and understand what's going on. I mean, I would make a motion to allow the board to execute the agreement for the 20 users, which is what we have now. The cost of that agreement would be $2,880 for the year. As our treasurer said, we have the ability to add users in the future should we deem that necessary. This agreement would be between the Eastchester Fire District and Onyx Networking Corporation, located at 18519 Detroit Avenue, Lakewood, Ohio. I would make that motion and ask for a second.
I'll second it.
Dennis, any discussion? A further discussion on that?
No, if we execute it tonight, Jamie can just pay it, and we can
Yep.
put it in the bills next month. It's
So,
contractual.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, great. So that's great, thank you. So we're all set. Jamie, thank you. Okay, we're just gonna, since we'll move there, we'll do the payment of the bills. The board has reviewed this month's bills and warrants and makes a motion to pay them. The first set of warrants dated April 29th, 2019, total at $262,778.86. The second set of warrants dated May 14th, 2019, total $134,615.35. And we have a credit card bill that's dated May 18th, 2019, that totals $367.29. This month's total of warrants is $397,761.50. And I would ask for a motion for that.
I'll make the motion, Mr.
Mr.
Chairman.
Laurie, and a second.
Second.
Mr. Roach, and all in favor? I'm sorry, let's poll the board. Lisa, could you poll the board for us on this
Chairman
one?
Reben,
Aye.
Commissioner Laurie,
Aye.
Commissioner Winter,
No, okay.
Commissioner Roach,
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Great, thank you. Chief, your report.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Welcome.
Good evening, and the Chief's monthly report for April 2019. Alarm activity is 279 alarms, 3 were fire-related, 161 EMS or rescue, and we gave mutual aid 2 times, once to the city of Yonkers and once to the city of Mount Vernon. The installation work for the light path tie lines for the radios has already begun. Fiber optic cables have been run to most of the locations, and the terminating of those cables, of those fibers, are ongoing. LightPath is working with Stillman Management, the property managers at 235 Garth Road, one of our remote radio locations, for the signing of the property access agreement by both parties. So that one location is being held up, but I believe they'll be able to get that signed shortly. Vehicle maintenance continues through the use of outside vendors, and maintenance mechanic Tim Dalton has been busy with several projects, including getting pricing for the 2 flat roof repairs at fire headquarters. The Bronxville roof repair will require more extensive work, and I believe there was discussion on the board over whether or not an engineer is required to be involved. We had one roofing vendor there today to give us a quote, but I assume because it's going to be an expensive project, that's going to have to go in the newspaper and all that. So does that get handled differently? Like, should I be getting quotes, or is that something we have to have the lawyers draw up the
We're going to have a
scope
discussion
of
about
work?
that tonight. Commissioner Winter.
Jamie
had
may
brought
know
some
the
stuff.
answer to this.
Okay.
There's an issue. I think we know the roof will probably cost more than $20,000. So if the roof is going to cost more than $20,000, do we need an RFP, or can we just get 3 competitive quotes and do the roof?
I think you have to do the,
RFP,
Right.
yeah. I mean, it's
like
a,
the competitive bid,
Yeah.
right, where you put
Right.
it in the newspaper and open days in public and all that.
so then we have to retain an architect or an engineer to design the products that are going to be used on this roof, so it can go out, the bid specs can go out. So I think we're at the point where we need to retain an architectural firm or an engineering firm, and we've been speaking to one,
Get in
or
line.
more than one, we've been speaking to many.
Yeah, so we'll have to
So-
do that again.
I think that's in the cards.
Okay, for Bronxville.
And the oil burner was the same kind of discussion.
That's going to be over 20,000 from the few quotes that Tim got, so I think that's going to be in the same boat for the Bronxville Firehouse. So maybe the same architect or engineer could draw up the plans for a new boiler.
Right. Unlike your homes where you go out and get 3 quotes for an oil burner and you put it in, here, as soon as it passes $20,000, we have to spend probably $5,000 to spend $25,000. So that's how the world works.
All right.
Okay, so that's the Bronxville Firehouse. The new Pierce Engine 27 and Engine 30 have been placed in service. Engine 31 is at the local dealership, Firematic Fabrication Shop, having the tools mounted and should be placed in service in 2 to 3 weeks. Fire prevention and code enforcement activities continue with numerous plan reviews and inspections, and on this past Saturday, Captain Pinaval was demonstrating our smoke trailer at the Bronxville Village Safety Day, which was right behind Village Hall here on Palumbo Place. Currently, there are 4 members on long-term absence. 1 member gets reevaluated by his doctor tomorrow, and another one next week, so hopefully they'll be back shortly. There are currently 2 Eastchester High School students conducting their WISE internship with the Eastchester Fire District, and a 3rd student will begin his internship tomorrow. They do 25 hours a week at fire headquarters, and depending on staffing, sometimes we have them go to a different apparatus. So they're getting a good taste of what the firefighters do on their daily routine. I got a lot of good feedback from the members and also from the WISE guys. So the WISE guys seem to enjoy it. So.
Watch how you say that, Chief.
Last month, I received a request and notified the board from Bergen County, New Jersey Department of Public Safety for approval of sharing our primary operations channel of our radio frequency. At the recommendation of ESS, I objected to the request until more information was provided, specifically the transmitter location, height, and power being transmitted. They responded it would be used for limited use during special incidents in mobile applications only, with an anticipated 50-watt ERP, so 50-watt power transmitted, if approved. With that further information, ESS now recommends that we improve the request, as ESS doesn't anticipate any interference. And I will send an approval, the letter, if the board has no objections. I did speak to former Commissioner Napolitano about it, and he asked me, was it going to be for paging, and was it going to be, you know, for other digital transmissions? And all those questions seem to be no, as they're going to be mobile radios and, you know, vehicles. There's not going to be any fixed antenna site, and we know the wattage is only going to be 50 watts as opposed to 100 or more.
Can ESS put their thoughts in writing and confirm each of the possibilities down the road that could give us a problem? In other words, the people you're talking to at ESS today may be
Right.
gone 3 or 5 years from now, and this radio frequency is around for 20 years or 30 years. We'd want to know from ESS, what are the possibilities this can cause us, and how are we protecting ourselves that, you know, the world changes technology-wise,
Sure.
and do we just give away something we shouldn't have gave away?
Right, so ESS simply, when I gave them the further information, they said regarding that letter of occurrence from Bergen County, I have no issue with that. If it's okay with you, please send your approval. There should be no interference, and I will check their license once it is posted to be sure. So that was from the radio technician that we use.
Can you get a copy of their application to the FCC, or do they not give it to you?
No, they just sent me the occurrence letter, which was the, you know, saying that they want to come on board with our frequency. So,
It may make sense to get a copy. I mean, I'm not a big fan of, if we have an asset,
right,
I'm not a big fan, and I know we should be nice to our neighboring departments on the other side of the river, but I just would prefer to look at, I would think maybe you want to look at their FCC application to see what they're actually telling the FCC they plan to do with it.
well, again, they've advised us that it's going to be for special incident. I don't know if they mean hurricanes or, you know, it's not going to be used on a daily basis. And all our vehicles have a private line, which kind of excludes everybody else, so we don't hear that. Like if you have a scanner, you may hear other departments that are nearby, but all our radios are kind of like private lined.
But this is for what exactly frequency is this used for today?
Our operations channel that when our firefighters talk to 60 control. So it's it's the command channel, so to speak.
So, why do we want to give it up? Why do we want to be nice? I mean, if the FCC tells us we have to, I can see doing it, but if we're not forced to, why do we want to do it? Just have a nice day, guys. We're not interested.
Well, the wording I didn't like was should. If it said will not, that, you know, it will not interfere with your operations, I feel more comfortable. Oh, it should not, well, that means it could. So that's a danger zone.
Yeah, I mean, I guess until they implement it, we won't know if there's an issue. There's, if in the letter of occurrence, it said if there are any issues, it has to be corrected by Bergen County Emergency Services at their expense, so if there's a problem, they have to stop transmitting and, correct the problem at their expense.
All right, well, that's
So-
good language.
So that's in the letter that we would say yes or no to. Right now, we've only replied that we wanted further information. Bergen County provided the further information, and, based upon ESS, our radio vendor, they recommend approving it, but again, if the board doesn't want me to, I could just
Well,
say-
Chief, since we have to approve it, maybe this would be a good thing for us to bring up again in May. In the meantime, you can get some of the answers for Commissioner Roach, Commissioner Winter, maybe get us a copy of that letter that we would be signing where it says it's Bergen County's responsibility to fix X, Y, and Z. We'll see it, and we'll tackle it in May, because, if it's a 1, 2, 3 issue, let's see all the paperwork and just make it that if we get
Yeah.
together May, last.
Well, it sounds like a
May, after
legal
Memorial Day.
contract we're
Yeah,
gonna
let's-
enter into with
That
them.
was sent to me by certified mail, so I have that letter, and I could
Right, so
forward it to you.
maybe you could just scan
So,
it and send
yeah.
it to us so we can review it, and then we can try and tackle this in the last week of May when we get together again.
Because if it turns into a problem, how do you extract yourself from it? In other words, let's say it just turns into a problem. Bergen
Right.
County doesn't want to be cooperative. then how do you extract yourself from that problem? I don't
Certainly a
know.
lot of conjecture, but there's a lot of unanswered questions that we just
Right.
want to make sure that we're making the right move. And
Okay.
Like Dennis says, we don't want to put ourselves into a situation we can't pull ourselves out of. Who knows what that could be?
Yeah.
But, you know, we talk about things all the time. We're basing things on catastrophic opportunities that can come our way that we're, you know, so
Okay,
let's treat it like one and we'll get to the bottom of it.
table it to the next
Do
meeting.
we own that frequency?
No, we're given a license to operate on that frequency by the FCC, and I believe we have to renew it every 10 years or so.
You effectively
So-
own it.
Well, we're not the only ones that have it. You know, you can see there's other departments, but they, you know, are far enough away. And I think that's what they believe, that Bergen County is far enough away that, you know, our transmitting won't interfere with them and vice versa.
Okay.
So,
All right, great. All right, so get that stuff for us and we'll
okay,
go
yep,
from there.
I'll forward that to you. Okay, I'm in the process of getting a survey pricing for Station 4, as you had asked me to do last month. I believe that it was expressed that we wanted a survey with 4 stakes. One of the commissioners, after I had gotten pricing with those 2 things, commissioner suggested a topographical survey, which has, you know, the ground heights, and also a permanent marker be installed. All these things add cost. So does the board desire the additional work, or just the original digital survey with 4 stakes put on the property line at Station 4?
The engineer recommended a survey with
Okay.
with elevations on it. He
That's
directly
fine,
said
but that's not
he
what I
needed
was told last
elevations for
month, so
drainage.
that's not
Exactly,
what
I
I
recall
got.
that also. He definitely asked for that. Because they have to figure out where they're going to,
But it
the
adds like
runoff is
another
going.
$1,600, so, you know, it goes from $1,200 or $1,600 to $3,200, and I imagine a permanent marker is gonna be an additional charge, so I'm just letting you know, it seems like every layer adds another $1,000 to it, so I'll get 3 quotes with the, do we want a permanent marker?
Did you get, so you,
I have 2 quotes right now without the topographical, with just
I don't
the
think we've
4
all seen
stakes.
them anyway. I mean, I haven't
So-
seen any quotes.
Well, because I need 3, so I'm not going to give them to you one at a time. I'll wait till I get all 3 quotes and then present them to the board. But now I have to go back and add these additional things. So we want topographical, we want a digital survey, and we want 4 stakes. Do we want a permanent marker on these surveys?
I think to me, I think you would, because
Okay.
the wooden stakes don't last long, you know, and that land is so tightly compressed. It's not like it's within inches of what you own. I mean,
Okay,
there's not.
I'll request that, but I just want to make sure
What
all
are the
3.
cost of the permanent markers, did you say?
What's that?
Do you know the cost of
No,
the?
I have no idea. I didn't ask that of any of them.
It's
I
just a
asked,
stone, it's just a
Quote it out with everything,
okay.
and then we'll
Well, I'll do it with the
reconvene
3
once we
things,
get
and then I'll ask them to quote separately the permanent marker, like do it with and without the permanent marker. So I'll get the digital survey, the 4 stakes, and then the topographical survey. And then I'll ask them what would it also cost as the permanent marker, because if it adds significant costs, you may want to exclude it.
Do you think we should go back to the engineer and ask him why he thought he needed a topographical survey?
drainage.
Yeah, okay, so we already.
Okay. So, all right, so I'll do that. I'll finish getting those quotes. I'm also currently getting pricing as requested by the board for a new chief's car, a rescue boat with a motor, updated radios, a ladder truck, and I'm getting quotes for having cameras and a DVR for the camera mounts that we installed at Station 4. So that way, either during the construction or, you know, we can keep track of, you know, who comes in and out of the firehouse. So just, I don't have 3 quotes on any of those yet, and I'm working on those. And finally, I brought it up in executive session about Salvatore and Sons submitted invoice for $1,010 for the building permit fee at the Tuckahoe Firehouse hose tower replacement, and I believe you already moved on that.
Yeah,
so-
we'll discuss that more and we'll
Okay,
take care of it.
that's the end of my report.
Thanks,
Thank you.
chief,
Okay.
appreciate it. Okay, let's do Chester Heights. So we have a resolution to move forward with tonight for Chester Heights. I will read it now. The Eastchester Fire District, herein referred to as the district, affirms its desire for the chairman of the board to negotiate and execute an engineering services fee schedule agreement between the district and Universal Engineering Services, PC, located 800 Westchester Avenue, Suite 641, North Rybrook, New York, for the district firehouse located at 4 Oregon Avenue, Bronxville, New York. Said agreement will include but not be limited to the project scope, professional service fees, terms and conditions, and liability, so long as the aforementioned agreement is approved by Fire District Legal Counsel, and so find that those terms and conditions incorporated into that agreement present comparable and sufficient safeguards and language detailed in our previous consulting agreement for the same location at a cost not to exceed $60,000. I would ask for a motion on
Make
that,
that motion.
and I would look for
I
a
have
second. Yeah, I would look for a second. Then there's discussion.
End of discussion?
No, then there's discussion. Is there a second? I will make the second, okay, and then discussion. Tom, did you have?
I think that we also were talking about construction administration in that.
We can do that next.
Well, it's in that agreement. It's part of it.
For that amount, the
Yeah,
60,000
that's
will be
all included
sufficient?
in that.
It's in the range that he gave us?
Right.
Okay, perfect.
That's the agreement that was provided us by UES included all those from what we would be doing initially through the bid process for that amount.
For the bid process.
Right.
And then
And
after the
then
bid
also-
process, we're going to need him to come on.
Right.
At some hourly rate.
Right. Okay, so, yes.
I believe the correct address is 10 Oregon Avenue. I believe you
Oh,
said
I'm sorry, did I say 4? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I did
Station
write, I
4.
wrote 4. Yeah,
Station
that's
4.
what it is, exactly. Well, we'll do that spot. Where's 4? What is that, the deli?
Probably the parking lot
Bank
between
or
the
something?
old bank, yeah.
Right, so I apologize, 10 Oregon Avenue. So I would ask the secretary to poll the board, please.
Chairman Reaven.
Aye.
Commissioner Laurie.
Aye.
Commissioner Winter.
Aye.
Commissioner Roach.
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. As far as Bronxville, I think we discussed tonight, we're going to have to do an RFP. Is that something that the board would like to move forward tonight,
We
or
can-
kind of put that language together for May?
We can have, he gave us a proposal to do the, roof and the 2 oil burners. But we can do it in May.
Right. We
Just
could do
as
it the
easily.
next meeting and put that together and
Yeah.
then do that. All right, so why don't we do that? Why don't we table Bronxville roof until we have a little bit more time to go over that? We have to look at those other proposals too as well from anybody who may have submitted anything for that. I don't know off the top of the head if they did, but if we do have to do an RFP, we may have to do one, like Jamie had mentioned, specifically for Bronxville. So,
Stu, can I
Yes.
just to clarify, I don't think that this will make a difference, but for competitive bidding, it's $20,000 for purchase contracts and $35,000 for public works.
okay.
Again, I think what you're.
We'll probably exceed the 35 either way.
Just there is a-
Right.
Well,
Okay.
You think the oil burner is Public Works? Because that's going to come in, it'll probably come in slightly below that. It's in
I
the-
wouldn't think so.
I think it would be.
I think it would just be purchase. It's a maintenance and repair item. It's not a, I don't think it's, I think we'd be all right in considering it just a repair or replacement of equipment. I don't
Right.
think it would be a public works. Okay, so that will move us to the next item on the agenda that I have here, and that is for district medical services. We actually have 2 parts of our agenda for this. The first part is actually a termination for Dr. Lokesh Reddy. The board affirms its desire for the chairman of the board to furnish Dr. Lokesh Reddy, presently serving as the Eastchester Fire District physician, a letter of termination effective no less than 30 days after today's date of May 14, 2019. Said letter will ensure that services rendered were not continued beyond June 31st, 2019, and I would ask for a second. June 30th, sorry.
Should we tell the public why we're changing?
Well, that's the next part of the agenda is we're going with a new physician.
I know, but should we tell them why we're changing?
Yeah, we can tell them. if you
yeah.
want.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, we could, yeah. I mean, it's just a change of services. Did you have anything you wanted?
No, I'm saying, does the board have anything to say why we're changing? Are you not happy with this man?
We can explain it, Anthony.
All right, go ahead, explain it then.
The hours for Mr. Lokesh Reddy is your typical Monday through Friday hours, and our firefighters work 7 days a week. So we're just trying to match the 7-day-a-week schedule of the firefighters' time demands versus someone who has also 7-day-a-week availability. Dr. Reddy's been very cooperative with the district and helpful for the district, but his hours just don't match our work schedule of the membership. So we don't have anything other than nice things to say about Dr. Reddy, other than his hours don't comply with the hours our men work, which is 7 days a week. That simple.
Plus, we're also paying the doctor a monthly fee regardless of how many people see him.
Correct.
Whereas this new doctor will allow us to pay on a case-by-case basis.
Okay,
which would
that's
be
what
a
I'm saying. Let's explain
which would-
that.
Right, and that'll be explained in the next
Okay,
resolution.
all right.
So I would make a motion to terminate and would ask for a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, and poll the board, please.
Chairman Raven,
Aye.
Commissioner Laurie,
Aye.
Commissioner Winter,
Aye.
Commissioner Roach,
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo.
Aye.
Okay, so the next item is the engagement of Dr. Shika Goyle of White Plains Urgent Care. Under the direction of the Board of Fire Commissioners, the Fire District's 207A consultant, 207 Resolutions LLC, has researched and recommended Dr. Shika Goyle of White Plains Urgent Care to serve as the district physician. White Plains Urgent Care has weekday office hours of 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. and weekend hours of 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Now, therefore, the board affirms its desire for the chairman of the board to negotiate and execute a service agreement between the Eastchester Fire District and Dr. Shika Goyle of White Plains Urgent Care of 10 Chester Avenue, White Plains, New York, for physician services with general fees defined as $120 for the first 15 firefighters in 1 month, meaning $120 per firefighter, $120 for the next 15 firefighters in that same month each, and $80 per visit thereafter, and above 30 firefighters in that same month. So for the first 30 firefighters, we would be paying $120 per firefighter.
No, it's 120, then 100, and then 80.
Sorry, did I say 120 again? I'm sorry, 120 then, so 120 for the first 15, 100 for the next 15, and 80 for all additional firefighters, all within that month. Termination of said relationship will be made by valid written letter by regular and registered mail or electronic mail. When, if said agreement is approved in tandem with the Fire District Council, Dr. Goyle will not supplant a firefighter's general physician, nor shall Dr. Goyle treat firefighter ailments or prescribe medication as part of their duties. Dr. Goyle shall bill the Eastchester Fire District on a monthly basis and will disclose the names, dates, times, and evaluations for those firefighters met with on a daily basis. And I would ask for a motion for that.
I'll make that motion.
And a second.
Second?
And Lisa, if you would, please, poll the board.
Chairman Raven,
Aye.
Commissioner Laurie,
Aye.
Commissioner Winter,
Aye.
Commissioner Roach,
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo.
Aye.
Okay. That is all I have on my agenda. Does anybody have anything else to add before we move into the closing section?
Yeah, I just want to,
Well, before we get to that, do we have any other motions or resolutions that we wanted to bring forward today? No? Okay, so the next item on our agenda is going to be Local 916. Paul, Eric, you got anything? Nothing? Okay. Volunteer members, anything? No? Okay. Commissioner reports, so we'll start with Commissioner Laurie.
okay, just on May 26th at 9 o'clock, the Assumption Church, we have a memorial service, which Commissioner Roach will be lecturing at that Mass. Ceremonies at 9 o'clock, Mass is at 9 o'clock. Afterwards, we're having a ceremony at the monument, and we'll be unveiling a tribute to former Deputy Chief and volunteer fireman and serviceman from the Eastchester Fire Department, Vincent Spadaro. And the ceremony will come right after the services at the monument. We'll just move around back. We got a plaque. I dug the hole. I'm going to put it in maybe Thursday, set it in the ground, and it'll be a tribute in front of the tree that we planted for him. We all know there's no Eastchester Tuckahoe Memorial Day Parade, but on Sunday, May 26th at 7 p.m. at the Eastchester High School Auditorium, there will be a ceremony. And a memorial ceremony after the ending will going down to the monument on Stewart Place Chief, I did ask you if we could have some lighting down there.
Yeah, we'll supply a
Yeah.
generator and lighting for their service.
I appreciate it. And,
Just bring 29, pop those headlights up.
Because it has to run, and then it interferes with the speeches. We can put the generator further away.
And that'll be the memorial ceremony. And then on Monday, the 27th, there's a parade in Bronxville, and that starts at 9 a.m. Anyone marching, just get in line over there, then the ceremony will end at the Bronxville High School. After that, they'll be going to the cemetery behind the DPW. And that's the end of the report I
All
got.
right, thank you. Commissioner Winter?
No,
Nothing? Commissioner Carlo?
Yeah, I'd like to just acknowledge the fire department and emergency services. April 23rd, I was in my backyard. A neighbor of mine had, I think, blacked out, collapsed in his backyard. And, of course, his wife, being distraught, called 911 right away. And Captain Calby's team, Group 4, arrived within minutes. And along with Lieutenant Tomasini and firefighters Castiello, Polero, Howes, Hamilton, and Martin. So I'll tell you honest, until you see these guys in action and you really see what they do, it's quite amazing to see them come in. They're calm, they're professional, they really put people's mind at ease. And I mean, I personally use them, not that I want to, of course, nobody wants to, but I had them in my family about 2 years ago. And when these guys show up, I tell you, there's nothing, not a better feeling in the world when these guys show up on the scene. So just acknowledge that they did a great job that day. It was just good to see them there. Of course, it was nice that I know them, but you can't put into words really what these guys can do for this town when they really are called upon. So just want to say that to acknowledge that.
Commissioner Roach, anything? The only thing I would say is happy belated Mother's Day to everybody out there. And also Memorial Day, like Commissioner Laurie said, is coming up, so please stay safe. Try not to keep the fire district busy at all on that day for emergency calls. And just have a great holiday, and we will see you in June. So that's it. So I would make a motion to adjourn into executive session and look for a second.
And I would just say we close the meeting in honor of all the past veterans that passed away for Memorial Day, and any of the past firemen also.
All right, so we will adjourn our session into executive session after a moment of silence, and we have a second from Mr. Roach, so all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.